You're meeting someone at a networking event, and you remember the Big Bang Theory. You don't want to come across as Sheldon. Sheldon's the character in the Big Bang Theory who's the most smartest person in the room, but he comes across as very self-absorbed and a know-it-all.
Mm.
And you don't really
You
want
wouldn't
to.
enjoy
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't want to work with Sheldon, right?
Yeah.
But Leonard is funny. He's outgoing. He comes across really well, but he's still very smart and he knows what he's doing, And Sheldon puts him down for it, but he has the friends, he has the connections, he's building people around him. And so that's who you need to be because I would want to work with Leonard, right? I don't want to work with Sheldon. And
You
that's
have to sell your inner life purpose. We're gonna call inner life purpose cringe from now on.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Hey everybody, my name is Mavish. I actually have a background here with the Aurora Borealis. Apparently, the sun has released one of its strongest solar flares in most recent times, which means we might see more Aurora Borealis around. So keep an eye for that. Might as well enjoy the weather and sights outside before it gets too cold. But yeah, you stay tuned for an exciting episode.
Thanks, Mawish. That was a good, if you ever want to go into meteorology, weather forecasting, I think that would be a good career switch for you. And actually, in today's episode of Cambrian Explosion, we are going to talk a little bit about career options and stuff like that, especially for new immigrants. So, stay tuned. This is your host, Yawar, with Mawish and Nabil. And, we're going to bring you a little bit of a chill
Yeah,
discussion
I
this week.
mean, if you want to get into weather forecasting, some people make the joke, you get the degree and the facts, and all you have to do is stand outside and say, "It's snowing. I'm outside."
That's true. You can just stand
Yeah.
outside.
Well, I think that brings us to the question. I had started with the question, what would be one tip that you would give to somebody who's just moved to Canada, or who has just immigrated to Canada? And we had focused on the career piece of it. I'd love to hear your thoughts as an audience on what you think are some good tips to give to to somebody who's just moved to Canada. But for me personally, the thing that I experienced was that I had to step one level lower in terms of my career to get into the job fields that I wanted to, and then or what was my previous job field. And my thought process after that was, if I'm going to be coming and stepping a level lower, why should I not explore other career options that are available in Canada? Particularly keeping in mind that both the landscape and the social landscape, so what is considered good or acceptable, becomes very different from where I'm originally from, right? This is one advice that I give to every person, and it has definitely helped some people that I know switch careers. But what are your thoughts on this particular
Uh,
aspect of?
so I just wanted to ask Nabil, just for context, like how hard is it for immigrants to get a job in the field that they want? Like, let's say someone comes in with a master's and 10 years of experience in banking. Why is it that they can think about switching careers? Like, why is it so difficult?
So I think the first thing is that when you come over here, there's always the concept of Canadian experience. And while they're not supposed to discriminate based on this, there is the aspect of, hey, if you don't have Canadian experience, you don't have experience. So your experience is not counted by employers. When you actually get into the field, it is a quick progression because your experience is valuable, but getting into the field can be really, really hard. Um, and a lot of people, when they actually first step into their preferred chosen field and have to do it at one position or two positions lower, actually have mentally, they have a hard time dealing with it. There are emotional challenges associated with uh, having to take a step below where your self-esteem says that you are, right? You feel self-esteem wise, why am I going a step lower? So I think that there's definitely an emotional challenge. There's a social challenge to it. There's a cultural challenge, in terms of the job that is available as compared to what you want to get into. So I feel it's not a bad option to explore new careers, particularly if you're having a tough time and your Canadian experience issue is popping up. That's usually one of the main reasons for wanting to switch. But also, the other thing is that's a negative reason, that's a fear-based reason. A hope-based reason is I wanted to be in a career or a field which did not exist, or the potential of it in my country where I was it's not a good field to get into. But here it's a completely different
Yeah,
story.
it's the Canadian dream. You're trying to realize the Canadian dream coming here and saying, you know what, maybe I can do something else.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, if you want to get into music as an example, a career in music back home is a big no-no. Like I was told by family members, don't do it. Don't think about it seriously. This is not a good thing to get into. But when you look at careers in Canada for music, I know professionals who were in Pakistan, who were big stars in Pakistan, and who have come to Canada, and you ask them why, and they say like, well, on a day-to-day basis, we might be a bigger star over there, but we make more money here in Canada because musicians are paid here in Canada. In Pakistan, they're not paid that well. It's you might be a big star, but you only make money when you get into an ad or something like that. That's where you make money, not on your concerts or on your gigs. Here, that's how you make your money.
Hundreds of years ago, being an artist and making sculptures and painting was, you were well renowned to be able to do that. We don't have that anymore. You don't have apprentices or things, people where you can teach those arts. And I feel like that's part of the reason why we've lost so much of that artistry almost, that trade, that career almost. Some of those careers have sort of disappeared because people felt like they weren't things that they could grow in. Now you have to go to Rome and Greece and Europe to see some of those beautiful things that people used to make and be renowned for.
Yeah, I think your advice is good. In general, you should always be open to exploring new options. Obviously, there are some careers that require more commitment and more investment, and you put years and years of your life into studying to become a certain thing, and then when you come to Canada, you would experience perhaps a setback by learning that it's a regulated licensed profession, and they want you to resit certain exams and retake things and do retraining and stuff like that. So it becomes a very steep uphill battle for new Canadians, and that's the reality of the situation right now. It's acknowledged, by various governments over time, and everybody wants to do something about it, but nobody is managing to do it to do that. So there are certain careers like that. There's a you might notice that there's a pretty severe shortage of doctors in Canada. And also at the same time, there's a huge list of requirements to become, for an immigrant doctor
Yeah.
to get to be able to practice in Canada. And you might think that, hey, wait a second, aren't these two things connected? So yeah, there's definitely these kinds of career paths that are more difficult. But other career paths, maybe you were, a banker or some other kind of profession, a salesman, marketing person. These many professions don't require in-depth many years of investment. So
Yeah, but those
maybe,
barriers are so sad. Like, can you
yeah.
imagine, being a doctor for 10 years, having to come here and do your residency all over
Mm,
again? Like, I've
mm,
had
Yeah.
family members who had to sit through several exams, some of which were 8 to 10 hours each, just
Yeah.
mm,
to, get their things. And then to actually pass those exams and move forward, you have to do residency again. So,
mm,
some people don't want to go through that. But
mm,
I must say, Canada does have a lot of resources. So I know Access Employment, for example, has a whole department where if you have some sort of medical background, they can put you in a career that's similar to that. Unfortunately, you can't remain a doctor, which is
mm.
unfortunate, but you can use those skills in another career, which just means that there's just a lot of
You can't
lost.
unless you go through the training again.
Yeah, which is just,
Yeah.
I feel like it's just a lot of,
It's a
you
huge
know,
investment.
yeah. And if there's a shortage of doctors or there's an
Mm.
overload of immigrants coming into Canada and you need that support, then unfortunately,
Doctors and
we're,
nurses as well,
yeah,
and
exactly.
nurses. Yeah.
Immigrants cannot help build that infrastructure that Canada needs.
I feel you're also pointing towards one other thing, which is do a bit of research if particularly you're in a regulated field around what people are doing when people from that field land in Canada, what are the career options that they are taking outside of their core career if they have switched careers, which ones have they switched into, and how well are they performing in that? It's not,
But you might be a little bit surprised because even leaving aside the professions which deal with life and death, like doctors and nurses, even something like a teacher, where many people in who immigrate here might have been
yeah,
teachers in their original countries, and then
yeah.
they might come here and find out that teaching is also a regulated profession, and you have to have a teaching degree, and you have to go through these exams and the process and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You have to take assignments in various schools and stuff like that. So it's also not a walk in the park, even if you want to be a teacher, which might be kind of come as a bit of a shock to people who didn't expect that.
Yeah, so Yara, you're in software development. So if someone was to come to Canada and wanted to get into software development, what was the experience like for you when you came to Canada? And what can people do to maybe get into, path
Yeah,
that
I
you
feel
did?
I feel like my case was a little bit different, but I have another friend who came to Canada as an experienced software developer, and I don't think he had that much difficulty in getting work, because he was able to show his skill set in software. It's a little bit different, I think, in general, also because when you do get an interview, if you get an interview, then you get a chance to go face to face with the interviewer and actually talk about your experience, and you can do a little bit of like a practical kind of exam in the interview, or problem solving project, and you can actually demonstrate your skills. It's fairly easy to demonstrate, and it's fairly easy to tell when people don't have the skills.
I also feel there's a consistent demand for software developers, and there are, what you just said
Yeah.
there's less there's less regulatory uh,
Exactly. That's the other thing.
aspects.
It's not a regulated profession, unless you're working in safety critical software, like medical device software and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Obviously, that's a different story. But in general, software like e-commerce and stuff like that, not
Well,
regulated.
even for the parts of software that are regulated, like if you're working on compliance related stuff, it's like
Mm.
literally the company you're working with will help you get through your compliance needs, because
Sure.
they are hiring you knowing that a lot of software developers will not have met the compliance requirements unless they're looking for somebody super senior who's going to come in and lead something, which is a different story. But then in that case, you actually wouldn't know the compliance needs, like you wouldn't have the legal
Mm.
background to cover it in any case.
Mm.
You'd have to go back to scratch in any case. You wouldn't be able to do the job.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but I will say that you made a good point, Yawer, that if you can just showcase your skills, there's a lot of new platforms because of the rise of AI, where even while you're waiting for those interviews, you can actually make money. So one example is data annotation. So
Mm.
while you're waiting, you can actually sign up for that service if you pass their screening tests and everything, which I don't know how difficult it is now, but it's like $40 an hour, where
Mm.
you can actually just teach AI how to run properly, and they pay you for that.
I didn't know
So
about that. But yeah, I'm not surprised. There's always been these online platforms, like there's Fiverr, there's this and that. There's
yeah.
different kinds of platforms where you can earn a little bit of money on the side, but it's not, I think for most people, it wouldn't probably wouldn't translate into a full career. Now, I did mention earlier that once you do get an interview, I think depending on the job environment and economic conditions, it can be many people I've heard of people having a lot of difficulty getting interviews. They've been looking for work for a long time, and it's situational. I guess it depends on, like I said, economic conditions and many other factors and criteria. There's no like guaranteed path in any profession. Like the best chance, probably, as I think we were discussing this earlier, is probably when you have a personal connection with people and they can refer you personally.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah, and that was one of my tips. Is you should be using a sort of a job search strategy. So you should be applying to a lot of jobs, but one
Mhm.
effective way to get the job is actually through referrals and networking, and just putting yourself out there. And once you actually get the training, the Canadian training you need to get these jobs, or just self-teach yourself, at the end
Mhm.
of the day, you also have to learn to sell your skills. So you have to have a bit of that sales. You have to channel your inner salesperson
Mhm.
that you may or may not want to have, and put yourself out there. The example I always tell people is, if you're meeting someone at a networking event, and you remember the Big Bang Theory, you don't want to come across as Sheldon. Sheldon's the character in the Big Bang Theory who's the most smartest person in the room, but he comes across as very self-absorbed and a know-it-all. And you don't really
You
want
wouldn't
to.
enjoy
Yeah,
Yeah.
enjoy.
I don't want to work with Sheldon, right?
Yeah.
But Leonard is funny. He's outgoing. He comes across really well, but he's still very smart and he knows what he's doing, you know. And Sheldon puts him down for it, but he has the friends, he has the connections, he's building people around him. And so that's who you need to be, because I would want to work with Leonard, right? I don't want to work with Sheldon. And that's what you need to show people, not just in interviews, but in networking events. And Canada is big for that. Like, you have tons of networking opportunities, and we are growing in terms of events in tech and IT. You can search on it on Eventbrite. Go to these events, put yourself out there. Don't discount using online resources like JobScan to scan your resume against applicant tracking systems, and applying, and LinkedIn, of course. But I think networking and referrals, like if you meet that person and you can get them to advocate for you, that's going to be how you put yourself out there. And then you just have to sell yourself and your skills. And, I never thought I'd say that, but you be Leonard and you have
Be
to
Leonard.
be Leonard
Be
and sell yourself.
be very, very Leonard is what I'll say.
The cringy Leonard that there. And if you want to know how cringy you are, look at our previous episode.
Yes, you should. I want to cap this up with just a little bit of interesting framework that I share with people in terms of career advice. It's called the IKIGAI framework. It's out of Japan, and it's about finding purpose in life. And it has four questions. Find that which you love, that which you are good at, that which can be paid for, and that which the world needs. And in the center of all of that, you're going to find life purpose. In the If only two of these items finds, you might find passion, mission, profession, vocation, but you're not going to find life purpose. And so that's the thing that I would want to end on, and say, like, you come from another country, you come to Canada, you're going to be here for some time. And if you're going to be here for some time, might as well take it as an opportunity to find life purpose, to find happiness in your career, and switch to a career where, you're good at it, you love that, but also it's something that the world needs, and you're going to be paid well for it. So
Yeah.
yeah, that
And to add to that framework, number five would just be sell your inner cringe.
yes,
So,
yes, 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 yes. This is in the context of do this and then sell your inner cringe. You have to sell your inner life purpose. We're going to call inner life purpose cringe from now on.
yeah, exactly. Okay.
Okay.
Well, yeah. So if you guys liked our continuation on your life in Canada, please give us a like and subscribe, and give us your comment, as Nabil said, on your experiences and how you harnessed your inner cringe and made an impact on an employer. And hopefully, it's something that I don't have to ban in comments. It's worth it.
Thank you very much. Talk to you guys
Thank
soon.
you.
Take care.
Okay.
Cheers.
Bye.
Cheers.